Hey guys, welcome to Bookish Islander. My name is Juan. I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome to my Friday reads. I don't know about you, but I've had a very productive reading week. I finished reading On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong and several other books, but let me talk about this one first. I said last week on my first Friday reads that I had very low expectations coming in. Well, now that I've read the whole book, I can say that it didn't quite work for me, but let me try to articulate why that was. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is a debut novel, and in so many ways it's such a first novel. And I don't mean that in a good way in this case. There's a lot of autobiographical elements, and the author wants to pack so many things in. There's the stuff about the Vietnam War, there's the stuff about the immigrant experience to America, there's the mother and son relationship, there's being a gay man in America, there's being a second-generation American. But the main problem with this novel, it's not that it has so many themes and that it's a little bit all over the place when it comes to dealing with them. It's more about how it's told. So the narrative device for this novel is a long confessional letter that the main character and narrator, Little Dog, writes to his mother. We know that the mother cannot read in English. I mean, she can barely speak English. So we know that she will never be able to read this letter and understand it. And that's just as well, I think, because Little Dog is prepared to be extremely explicit when it comes to things like sex and drug use in a way that I'm sure no mother would want to ever read or hear about. I haven't read any of Vuong's poetry yet. He was a well-known poet before he published this novel, but he clearly has a voice, and the voice comes through loud and clear in this novel. The problem for me was that the language in which he expresses that voice got to my nerves eventually. There are quite a few clunky sentences, and his transitions from one section of the book to the next are often forced. I wonder if all his future prose will be like this. I hope not, but I have a feeling it will be. When I finished this novel, I started wondering where Vuong would be able to go with his fiction writing after this. My feeling is that if he continues to write novels and short stories, fiction in short, he will just continue to explore the same things that he's already approached in this novel. Before I read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, I listened to a few podcasts featuring interviews with the author, and I also watched a couple of excellent BookTok videos reviewing the novel. One by Matthew Sharapa and the other one by Alex on What Page Are You On? I encourage you to watch those reviews if you haven't already, so I'm going to link to them in the description box. We're in the middle of the Booker Prize fever season, so I decided to read two of the books that were long listed. I read Lanny by Max Porter, and then I read My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. Neither of those two novels made it to the shortlist that was announced a couple of days ago, and I'm not surprised they didn't. Lanny by Max Porter started off as the story of a strange boy who lives in a commuter village near London with his parents. His dad is an executive who works in the city, and his mother is a crime writer who works at home. Lanny then begins a friendship with a local, much older artist. Then suddenly Lanny goes missing, and my attention and my interest in this novel slowly began to peter out. Lanny is Max Porter's second novel, but it was the first one I read. If you've read Grief is a Thing with Feathers, which was his first novel, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd be curious to know if it's a better book than Lanny, or if you would recommend it to me. Then on to My Sister, the Serial Killer. At least this was fun to read. It was very enjoyable. It was a breeze to read. It took no time to read it, and I had fun doing so. I like the commentary on sibling relationships and also on sexism, particularly what female attributes are more valued in our culture than others. And yes, I say our culture because even though the book is set in Nigeria, I think a lot of what happens in the book, not everything, but a lot of what happens in the book would have worked had the book been set in, say, Europe or North America. Some of the stuff in this novel had me laughing. I remember a particular moment when Ayola, who's the serial killer, posted on Instagram something about her missing boyfriend. different, but we know from page 1 that she had murdered him. So I think the best thing about this novel is its humor, and I look forward to more fiction by Braithwaite. If you watched my Friday reads last week, you'd know that I'm doing a Booker Prize project whereby I'm reading all the Booker Prize winning novels by decade, and I started with the 2010s, so the first novel is The Finkler Question, which I also finished this week. And this novel by Howard Jacobson was very enjoyable, and I have a lot of thoughts on it, but I'm gonna film a review and that should be up in the next few days, so watch out. I don't want to say a lot about it in this video because I don't want to spoil my very own review. But let me tell you that The Finkler Question was enjoyable, and yes, I found it a little bit repetitive and a little bit obsessive at times, but I think that all contributes to what this novel was trying to do. Next on the docket is The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes, which won the Booker Prize in 2011. I have read this novel in the past, but I will read it again just for this project, and I'll probably start it this weekend. The next winner in 2012 was Bringing Up the Bodies by Hilary Mantel, and this is the second on her Thomas Cromwell trilogy, the first one being Wolf Hall. Now, Wolf Hall won in the previous decade, so I won't talk about it for a while, and unfortunately I haven't read it, so I'm reading it right now in preparation for reading Bringing Up the Bodies. Like I said, I won't talk about Wolf Hall yet. I will talk about Bringing Up the Bodies when I do read it, when we get to it. But if you want to read along, if you want to get to Bringing Up the Bodies, you should read Wolf Hall first. So this is my Friday reads. Please let me know what you've been reading this week, what you're planning to read on the weekend. Let me know if you're interested in any of the books that I've mentioned or if you've read them before. Let's talk in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again very soon. Bye bye.